So, I asked the people on my Discord server to give me music artists to listen to. Basically, I was like, okay, y'all, give me musicians that you like, and I will listen to them and review them and judge your music tastes for a YouTube video. Now, this is not something I really ever anticipated myself doing because normally when it comes to other people's music recommendations, I'm like, no, bitch, I listen to my shit. I don't listen to your shit. If you want to listen to your shit, play it in the car when you're driving me somewhere. But on my own time, I'm going to listen to my shit. And that's what I do. So basically, the prospect of asking somebody for music recommendations and reviewing them for a YouTube video was just something that I was like, I'm stepping out of my comfort zone a little bit because this is just I wasn't normally, this is not something that I normally do. And by the way, if you want to join this Discord server, we are called the Furry Palace. We've been up for about a few months now, and I will post the link in the description to this video. We just talk about furry stuff. We're a furry-only zone, so if you're furry, you want to join there, hop in. Anyway, when I said that I was stepping out of my comfort zone with this, I meant it, because there are a lot of people in my server whose music tastes are vastly different than mine. I listen to metal. I listen to extreme, heavy, brutal metal. I listen to the heaviest shit that you can possibly imagine. So you can imagine that a lot of the furries in my server don't exactly do that. And so just taking their suggestions and listening to that and putting myself through like a whole bunch of other music that they like was just a very interesting experience for me in terms of just like what I was exposing myself to, because most of this was the kind of music that I had never listened to before, or at the very least that I didn't broadly listen to like on a daily basis. So it was very new for me, and so in this video I'll be breaking down what they showed me, how I liked it, and basically how I judge their music tastes and what they listen to as a whole. Case in point here, because the very first suggestion that I was given was this guy named Nelward, who, like, let me look at this. He's like a, you can't see that, but he's like a electronic, like, disco pop musician, and he uses, like, vocoders or something on his vocals to make it sound more like electronic or something. And I was just like, so I was listening to 3 songs from each artist, and I listened to this guy's top 3 songs, and I was like, yeah, this just, like, I respect it, okay, but, like, not really my thing. It's just it's a little bit too, like, bubbly and, like, you know what I mean? It was kind of just, it was dance. It was like electronic dance music, or I don't know if I would technically classify it as like EDM per se, but like it was very much a very light, bright, like bubbly, dancey stuff, and it's just kind of like, I get it. I get why people like this, but personally, like, no, not really. But I guess it doesn't really matter because everybody knows that the only thing furries ever listen to is like EDM and house music. Guys, listen to what I say. I'm a very reputable person, okay? Side note, actually, there was this one guy who listed like 10 million furry musicians and then messaged me a second later that he just saw the rule about 1 artist per person. But anyway, bottom line, that first artist, not really my thing. Not really my thing at all. The second artist that came up was a slight change in tone for me because this was somebody named Nikki Yanovsky, and apparently she's like a jazz musician. And now, the second I saw she's jazz, I was like, okay, I'm prepared to have the worst time of my life. Because if you know me, you know that I despise jazz. I hate jazz with every fiber of my being. I respect the ideology behind jazz and what it represents for a lot of people, but sonically, I cannot stand that shit. So when I saw she's jazz, I was just like, I can't say no, but like, why do you put me through this? Again, this is a musician named Nikki Yanovsky, and I listened to the first song that my friend recommended, which is called Necessary Evil, and I turned it on, and I was just like, okay, this is not what I was expecting, because when I think jazz, I think, oh, I'm surrounded by brass instruments and little fucking ding ding dings on the ride cymbal, which I'm a heavy hitter on the drums. I cannot stand it when drums are hit soft. I am meant to play loud. Drums are meant to be played loud. So, but anyway, that was not what I got listening to this song, Necessary Evil. I got, like, actually some pretty fucking cool vocal jazz, and it was just, I was listening to it, and it just, I can't deny. I cannot deny. It was kind of good. It was kind of good. And I'm not afraid to say that, because I am not afraid to state when my current beliefs have been overturned And I'm not saying that I like jazz now, because I still hate most jazz. But this one jazz song, and the other two that I listened to are pretty good. But this one jazz song was just like, I can get behind that. I would listen to that song. You put that song again, I would not be complaining. It was actually pretty good. I cannot lie. If all jazz was like that, maybe I wouldn't be saying I hate it. Well, a lot of these artists were artists that I hadn't listened to before, but the third one that came up was actually someone who I had checked out before. This is a band called AJR, and AJR are like, they're considered an alternative band, right? But like, I wouldn't call them a pop punk band at all. They're more like a alternative pop. Alternative. I'm gonna say alternative pop. I'm okay. From now on, I'm gonna be referring to AJR as alternative pop, and that's the term I'm gonna use. And if you don't like it, go fuck yourself. Okay. I'm known for my tact and sensitivity. But anyway, because this was a band that I had listened to before, I didn't need to listen to them for as long as I needed to listen to the other artists, because I had already heard a few of their songs, like Bang and World's Smallest Violin, because I'm basic when it comes to alternative music. But like, I did listen to Burn the House Down, I think it was called, and Way Less Sad, because those were two that I had not heard before. And I most of this, like, unless somebody gave me specific songs to check out, I would listen to it in terms of like what the most popular songs by a specific artist were. So I listened to Burn the House Down and Way Less Sad, and I had heard Bang and World's Smallest Violin before. So technically I listened to 4 songs by this artist, but technically I only listened to two, and it's just whatever you choose to think of it as, and it's good. I can't lie. Like this is a good, like, I normally listen to metal, as I've said, but NGR, they're a pretty good band. I tend to enjoy the things I hear. Oh, and also whatever the other one was called. I don't know. I don't know. Yes, I'm a mess. And when it comes to AJR, I do tend to enjoy what I hear by them. So I would say that overall this was a win. I enjoy listening to AJR, and I appreciate the guy who suggested AJR for me. You know who you are. Thank you. The next artist that came up was another band that are classified in the alternative pop category, but this one is actually getting a tiny little bit more into the rock section, but like not much at all. Just like 2% more, like 2% more into rock than AJR are. And this is a band called Wallows. And again, like AJR, I had heard a little bit of Wallows before. Unlike AJR, I didn't tend to be super into what I heard from them. I mean, they weren't bad. I didn't dislike it. But again, it wasn't really my thing, per se. So it was just like, yeah, I get why people like this, but like not really my thing personally. But I do have another really good friend who really likes Swallows and saw them live, so I get the value that like attached to them, because he really enjoys them, and he took the time out of his day to go to a live show of theirs. So I definitely respect it. I don't dislike it at all. But yeah, Wallows. I mean, pretty cool, all things considered. Pretty cool. But seriously, I mean, like, I have kind of been corrupted by metal bands.
They've addled his brain and yellowed his teeth.
It's not my fault that I like screaming, okay? And speaking of screaming, the next artist that came up was Aiden. Fuck! The person who suggested Aiden, you know who you are, marry me. Hearing Aiden was like taking my first snort of meth. Disclaimer, I am straight edge, I do not actually do meth. And taking that shit straight up the left nostril, and it fucking hooked me. It fucking hooked me. It's almost a little bit disappointing, because I think this is a band that like went house and like electronic music like later in their career or something like that. But my friend picked the absolute best songs to use to introduce me to this band, and the reason why they were the best choices is because the choice of the songs that she chose were from early in their career, when they were straight up a screamo band. Like, they have this album called Nightmare Anatomy, and the very first track, Night Flood Nightmare, sounds like something that could have come off of the I Brought You My Bullets album by My Chemical Romance. And the best part is, you can't even really claim they were copying off anything or anyone, because that album came out in 2005. Which was when screamo was getting started. So, like, nobody's really heard of these guys, but if you think about it, there's only a 3 year difference between that album and I Brought You My Bullets, which means that really, in some ways, they're kind of on the same level as all those early out Screamo bands like My Chemical Romance and, like, I think Silverstein might have been around back then. Like, Pierce the Veil didn't have their debut album until 2007. So, like, these guys deserve much more recognition. And I admit that I hadn't even heard of them before the other day. So, Jerry, if you're watching this, thank you very much for introducing me to Aiden. I really appreciate that, and I really love this band a lot. Okay, so we're sort of nearing the end of this video here because we only have 2 more artists to go through. And the first of those 2 is a band that you all know, probably, or at least that you all have heard of, Boston. And this was the band that the guy I was mentioning earlier who sent me like a million different furry artists recommended, because he was like, okay, I just saw the 1 per person rule, and I said like all of those furry artists I had listened to before, so I was like, dude, I've heard every single one of these guys. So he was like, okay, then listen to Boston. And so I was like, yeah, I've heard of Boston, let me listen to some of their songs. And so I did. And now, normally, I'm not a huge sucker for classic rock. I do respect it because it is what brought metal onto the table. And I do consider myself a pretty big Journey fan because they make good music, and they're also from my home city of San Francisco, California. But Boston are actually a pretty good classic rock band. And so I skip More Than a Feeling because obviously I've heard that one before many times on the radio. And so I listened to Peace of Mind and Rock and Roll Band, and then I was like, okay, I've heard 3 songs because I'm still lazy when it comes to other people's music suggestions, regardless of whether or not I'm doing it for a YouTube video. And so, you know, I heard More Than Feeling before, I listened to Peace of Mind, I listened to Rock and Roll Band. I skipped Foreplay a long time because that added up to 7 minutes, and again, I was too lazy to sit through that kind of length of music. But from what I listened to, I kind of did like Boston. I think they're a pretty good band. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't just kick that one out when I'm, like, walking into school. I'm going to listen to, like, some Ice Nine Kills or Lorna Shore or some shit. But, like, if they play it on the radio, or if you play that for me in the car, I'm not going to be complaining. I'm not going to ask you to switch that because, you know, I like it. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. And even regardless of whether or not I sonically enjoy it, like, I still have to respect it because without classic rock, metal would never have become a thing. But, you know, that's a whole other can of worms. Okay, so we're down to the last artist that I will be reviewing for this video, and my friends decided to end it off on a very heavily emotional note, because the final artist that was recommended to me for this project was The Saddest Landscape. I'm almost feeling my emotions falling just talking about this artist or band or whatever. I'm not sure exactly what it is, because listen to the music of The Saddest Landscape. Like, just look at the name. Just look at the name. The Saddest Landscape. Does that not sound emotional to you? And you listen to the music and it's just like, it breaks you down. It breaks you down. It broke me down. It's just so heavy and emotional. And not just in one way either, because the lyrics are very emotional, but like, it's almost like the lyrics have the vibe to them, but then you combine the lyrics with the vocals that they're being sung in. It's like, it's a combination of like just normal talking and like this agonized like wail, almost like it's like this howl of pain, and it's just like you can feel like you can almost feel what this person is going through. And it's just like it really got me emotionally, because it didn't make me start crying, right? Like I'm not that emotional, but like it really did get me to feel the way that this person is feeling. And it really is very heavy stuff, and like not even like musically just like super thrashing and gnarly, just like it just is heavy in other ways that I really can't name. It's just the kind of thing that you just have to listen to really know. Did I enjoy listening to it? Yes. Would I listen to it again? Honestly, I probably would, because I mean, I am emo. I do enjoy like very heavy and emotional music, and I do enjoy listening to music that makes me feel that way, because it is like a form of therapy to me to be exposed to music that just like is raw and like hits you right in the feels, it just really is very therapeutic and cathartic for me. And I really think I did benefit from listening to that. And I really did like it. I really did like it. Well, we have reached the end of the video. Thank you so much, Furfags, for watching. Drop your own music recommendations in the comments. If you want me to do a part 2, like, just let me know if you want me to do a part 2. If I'm not too lazy to do one, then maybe I will. I enjoyed making this video. It was a lot of work, but I think I did get something good out of it, and I hope you got something good out of watching it. And I hope that you check out these artists, because all of them are super cool in their own right. Even if I don't like them, maybe you will. Somebody else definitely will. So thank you again for watching, and I will see y'all in the next video. Stay fluffy. Bye-bye.